we really, really look up to the Ministry of Trade and the Minister who will be also in SMEs and cooperatives, and we also have the Minister of Trade. Those two ministers, or those two CSs, are going to ensure that you facilitate a supporting system that adapts a digital way of how things can be done. And so you open up even in the markets and have a digital technology that even traders can use, small SMEs can use. Today I see in the streets of Nairobi, we have everyone. But if it was structured well, then you will find people will continue with their businesses, those who have big shops. The SMEs who are within the streets can also sell, but in the same time, you have a chain that appreciates. Everyone must use that space. Madam Speaker, if we have functional markets, then the digital goods and services can do very well in this country. And therefore, as I bring in this motion, I bring in this motion at a time I remember in the 12th Parliament, we really talked about how SMEs were being mistreated. That today, and I want to thank the President, that indeed, today, those SMEs will be able to go back and start trade. Will be able to bring a container where they are sharing cost, and they are able to clear their goods from Mombasa. Than the way it had reached a point, my goods are picked from Mombasa and are delivered in Naivasha, and then I will leave Naivasha and again come and pay in Nairobi for it to arrive. Honestly, I mean, we are a very interesting country. We are an interesting country where you find someone making millions, billions at the port. So we have others, small, who have decided, Madam Speaker, at Mombasa, so the container, the wagon comes in with $560, and then this wagon is carrying 4 containers. It will be taken to somebody's yard where I'm supposed to receive it, and I'm supposed to pay per day $400. And I want to tell you, Madam Speaker, if this government is not going to change all this that we saw, I think we will be doing an big injustice to our SMEs who right now are looking for resources, and I'm hoping the Hustler Fund and any other fund, the Economic Stimulus Fund, can come out for these traders to use this money to revive business, revive opportunities of jobs, bring back our young people to start trading, and also within the creative jobs that they had done. Madam Speaker, a good government must enhance participation in international and global trade by providing a conducive environment and regulatory framework that enables everyone, be it if I am selling a plastic container, should be with standards, yes, but then I'm able to trade. Be it if I'm trading my tomatoes, be it if I'm trading my avocados, be it if I'm trading my fruits, my pixies, which are doing very well right now in Makueni. Madam Speaker, if there's anything that we can do to revive our economy, is to build the SMEs that we have. If there's anything we have to see for us to pay our debt is to create a conducive environment for SMEs so that they can flourish. If there's anything we can do to sit down and listen to the stories and testimonies of how, for us, we started small trades during Kibaki's time. And I will tell you, Madam Speaker, during Kibaki's time, many of these traders you've seen go down. That is the time they started their trade. They came into an administration that felt so angered. And I'm sorry to say this, because I was part of this administration of Jubilee. But there's nothing as painful when you get into jealousness of business, where the big shots will feel threatened with small SMEs who are coming up. There's nothing sad as that. And that is why we went into conflict of trade and we killed completely what Kibaki had revived in this country. It was very sad to see our businessman Humphrey being treated the way he was treated just because of competition of business. And we killed each other with our own KRA, and I'm hoping when I'm talking of a national policy and a conducive environment, I am speaking also to KRA that you must create a conducive environment for you to also receive revenue. That if you indeed give every person in Kenya an opportunity, today, Madam Speaker, we spend 5 billion a day as a country. That is what we spend. But then we end up in a deficit of 3 billion. So in a day, Kenya spends 8 billion. It means we can be able to revive businesses. You will collect beyond 9 billion and be able to ensure that every person is able to have a living, not just in Nairobi, but in every place in this country. Madam Speaker, if we enable SMEs by reducing barriers to entry and exit, we support competition and provide incentives and innovation, then I tell you, we shall be able to move this country to the next level. As I conclude, Madam Speaker, it is important to facilitate access to resources where needed and conducive, decent work for self-employed. When we look at our markets, when we look at even where the small traders are, it is important to have a conducive environment. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I want to invite the Honorable Amos Mwago from Starehe constituency, where all SMEs do business, to second this motion.
Honorable members, thank you very much, Honorable Member for Dagoretti. Honorable members, before seconding of this motion by the Honorable Mwago, I would like to allow the Honorable Nelson Koech to table a report on the Committee on Defense. So, Honorable Koech.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Wednesday, November 9th, 2022, the afternoon sitting. The report on the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations on its consideration of the request by the National Executive regarding deployment of the Kenya Defense Forces to the East African Community Regional Force, Democratic Republic of Congo.
The Honorable Nelson Koech, now you may give the notice of motion for the report that you just tabled.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that taking into consideration the recommendations of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations in its report on the request by the National Executive regarding the deployment of the Kenya Defense Forces to the East African Community Regional Force to the Democratic Republic of Congo, laid on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 9th November 2022, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 240, Subarticle 8, Subarticle A of the Constitution, and Section 18C and Section 32(2)A of the Kenyan Defense Forces Act 2012 in this House, approves the deployment of Kenya Defense Forces to the East Africa Community Regional Force to the Democratic Republic of Congo for peacekeeping operations.
Honorable members, we may now go back to the motion as moved by the member for Dagoretti. Honorable Mago, you may now second the motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate my able mentor, Honorable Beatrice Elachi, for bringing this motion on the floor of the House, seeking for the development of a unified national policy on small and micro enterprises. Madam Speaker, I come from a constituency that heavily relies on trade as its fundamental economic activity, and most of my constituents are traders that fall under this category of small and micro enterprises. I stand here to second this motion because it directly affects my constituents, because most of the marketing place in Starehe is dominated by traders in this status of the economy of people. During the campaign periods, both sides of the divide campaigned on a platform of economic revolution, with the Kenya Kwanza government advocating for the bottom-up approach, and us on our side, the Azimio side, we're advocating for that economic liberation of our nation. So I'm very pleased that we have had two motions today that center on empowerment of our people in matters trade. That's a step in the right direction, and I think it is time overdue we recognize the role that is played by SMEs in the economics of this country. And it is only wise that we are able to recognize these SMEs, give them a conducive environment, empower them, because they are a powerhouse when it comes to the employment opportunities of our people. Down where I come from, I've risen up from being a trader in the downtown side of Nyamakima, Kamkunji area. And the SMEs in those areas, people have come from the villages and set up very serious SMEs, which have blossomed and grown to be medium enterprises, and others have gone even into the industrialization phase through the support they got from the Kibaki government. And it's so demoralizing that we are killing that spirit, where the Kibaki administration opened up the economy of Kenya by giving these SMEs chances and opening other countries and other markets that we saw the goods from. For example, China, trading with China, Dubai, Turkey, and other countries. And it is taken our people some amount of money to invest in this trade that have really revolutionized the business ideas around Starehe and around Nairobi. The trading chains in Nairobi have benefited so much by the trading policies that were put under the Kibaki administration. So when my sister seeks to bring a development of a unified national policy on small and micro enterprises, I support it from the bottom of my heart, because if we were to bolster the economy of this country, I think we'd have to start with empowering the SMEs, because through the innovation and creations, they've been able to be a powerhouse in offering jobs and being employers in this country. If you look at the developed countries of the world, they have really relied on the private sector to empower the economy. They have empowered the private sector If you look at countries like India, where they started with cottage industries, moved to handicraft industries, and have been able to arrive at the industrial level, industrial revolution level, through empowering the small traders and the small SMEs in their country. So it is time overdue, Madam Speaker, that we seek to empower these SMEs through recognition so that we can reduce the harassment meted on these SMEs. You can imagine at their very infant stages, there are really so many agencies directed to oversee the activities of these SMEs, but they don't do it in the correct way. They do it in a harassive way, whereby a trader will be told his goods are contraband, others are counterfeit, but they are not actually civilized, given civic education to understand what is contraband and what is counterfeit. So I think it's a step in the right direction. I want to congratulate my sister, and I stand to second this motion. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I now propose that aware that Kenya's economy is largely driven by informal sector, spearheaded by entrepreneurs presenting themselves in form of small and micro enterprises, SMEs. Concerned that the informal sector, popularly known as Juakali, has different segments and categories spread out in value chain ranging from agriculture, trade, manufacturing, apparels, IT, transport, the creative economy, education, among others. Recognizing that there is need to improve coordination of SMEs through development of an all-inclusive, well-structured delivery platform that encompasses multiple solutions and all key stakeholders. Noting that this sector has a potential to create employment opportunities to over 80% of Kenya's working population. Further noting that these SMEs have the capacity to leapfrog our nation to a middle income economy, as witnessed in other economies around the world. Recalling that strong and consistent commitments and political goodwill can deliver the needed growth for the realization of steady and sustainable economic growth. Concerned that previous support by government to this sector has merely been a knee-jerk reaction in form of skewed funding and tokenism. Cognizant that there exists no unified national policy or legislation in supporting of the sector and SMEs across the entire value chain. Now, therefore, this House resolves that the national government develops a unified national policy on small and micro enterprises, SMEs, detailing, recognizing funding, mentoring, expansion, reconstructing, and marketing of all SME products. Honorable members, debate on this motion will resume in the next sitting. Honorable members, time now being 1 p.m. This House stands adjourned until today, Wednesday, the 9th of November 2022 at 2:30 p.m.